I've already covered quite a few Star Wars Episode 1 toys on my channel over the past year or so, and at the risk of repeating myself, I'm always surprised by just how huge this range of toys was. Hasbro were really eager and very ready to capitalise on the launch and the anticipation of Episode 1. They seem to make toys of pretty much everything and every character you could imagine, and that's before you get onto the playsets. And a great many of these toys were available before the film even came out. And today I'm going to be taking a look at one that was actually my first Star Wars Episode 1 toy, and I remember getting this as a gift a couple of months before the film came out, and I had no idea what I was looking at, but I was instantly enthralled, and it certainly stoked the flames of my anticipation for this film. And this toy was the Stap and Battle Droid. It was something of a deluxe figure, not quite a single carded figure, but not quite a deluxe vehicle or playset either. It's kind of that in-between range that we often see from the Star Wars lines. And I have to say, for me personally, this still holds a very special place in my heart because it's just so different and interesting. And I think what's really cool about it is that even as a child, but especially as an adult, I've always appreciated verisimilitude in my toys. I want them to be screen accurate and authentic. And what's really nice about this Episode 1 line is that they really strive to do that, and they didn't take any outrageous chances to make things more toyetic, as we did see in some of the later Kenner toys when they carried the Star Wars license. So as ever, let's start by looking at the packaging. Well, as we can see, it does carry the standard Star Wars branding, the Episode 1 branding that we all know and love by this stage. It has Darth Maul's face in the top left hand corner, we have the Star Wars logo, and of course we have that sort of red light beam coming out from behind it, and we see the red of the lightsaber against a black background. So this is all visually striking, we've seen it many times before, and then of course we have this image of the toy itself with a little bit of artistic license showing the firing missile there, but this looks pretty cool. And then there's a very small window display where we can actually see the figure itself. Obviously this is an oblong box, so slightly unusual, and it's quite small and compact. On the side panel, a lot of this imagery is repeated here, so no real surprises. But on the reverse, we can see a little bit more artistic detail. So for example, we have a photo of the image of the figure itself on the right, which is great, but we can see a little bit of artwork behind that. It's obviously in the Gungan jungles, which is pretty cool, so that creates a bit of a nice scene. There's a little bit of text, a bit of bio about what this character is, and then at the bottom of the packaging we can see the other figures in this line, and of course we can also see the first major vehicle playset of this line, which was the Naboo Starfighter. So this mini vehicle is pretty easy to assemble, and once it is assembled it looks pretty good. I have to say, even by today's standards, this is a pretty solid piece. The sculpting of the Stap seems to be pretty screen accurate to my eyes. I think they've done a very nice job of this, particularly when it comes to the paint apps, because I suppose it would have been a temptation just to leave it in its base plastic, but no, they've added plenty of shading and lots of different textures to this. We can see little individual silver scratches and dents, we can see some burnt out areas of black shading as well, and it's peppered throughout with different browns and sort of caramel colours, which looks really good. It looks very authentic, very well worn, and quite realistic, and I'm surprised to see this level of quality in a toy all these years later for the time it was produced in, which is roughly 1999. This is quite surprising. I think they've done a tremendous job of this, and as I said, it stands up just as well today. It also comes with this translucent stand to give the impression that the vehicle is floating or hovering around, which is really cool, so you can have it on display like this, but it also serves a purpose to allow you to be able to grip it between your fingers and fly it around. It also has an action feature which triggers the firing of the missiles, which we'll take a look at in a moment. But before we do, I did want to take a quick look at this battle droid that comes with it, which is pretty cool. I have to say this is better than some of the standard battle droids that were released. Again, very nice paint job, very nicely sculpted, pretty screen accurate. We can see lots of shading on this figure, which is great, but he also has much improved articulation, even if the joints aren't particularly stiff. So we can see, of course, that he has something of a ball joint in his head, so he can move from side to side, he can move his neck forwards and backwards. He's got these very loose shoulder joints which spin all the way around. Likewise, the elbow joint as well is very loose, but again, it does have that articulation, which is pretty cool. And of course, he does have those moulded hands that allow him to grip onto the Stap really nicely as well. Then of course, he's got articulation in his legs, so his knees and his upper thighs as well also move up and down, which is pretty cool. And very unusual for the time when there wasn't an awful lot of articulation like this. We usually didn't see elbow and knee joints in a 3 3/4 inch scale figure. So, as I mentioned, the base is perfectly moulded so that you can slip between your fingers and you can perfectly fly this Stap droid, which is pretty cool. But underneath you'll notice there is this trigger point, and if you press this, that fires the missiles. They are spring-loaded, so they go at a fair old lick and can do a little bit of damage if you're not careful. And there you have it, there's not much else to this toy. There are no other action features, but what it has is pretty cool. It's screen accurate, it works, and it looks really good. As I said, I think for me, this works even now as a nice model to put on display, let alone nearly 30 years ago, almost. You know, this is a really, really impressive toy for its time. I think it still stands up. I think it looks great, just in terms of the detailing, the sculpting is fantastic. And I also think it's a really fun toy as well. And of course, you could army build with this if you wanted, and it would work very, very nicely. So if you're a fan of Episode 1 or Star Wars toys in this scale, then I think it's, you know, it's a really good one to try and track down and pick up if you don't already own it. It's a lot of fun and it looks great. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a like and remember to subscribe as there'll be plenty more videos soon.